Welcome to the Alpha Girl Confidence Podcast, where we are empowering youth female athletes to play and live confidently. My name is Shay, and each week I will bring you new episodes to teach you the strategies and tools that you need in order to live a confident, empowered life both on and off the playing field. Hey, what's up? Welcome back to the show. So this is a very special week. First off, because of the special guests that we have today on the show, but second, because the Alpha Girl Collective is officially open. So if you want to start building confidence so that you can play to your full potential, head to alphagirlconfidence.com/collective to join the family. So doors close on Friday, June 25th. So you're going to want to check it out now. Head there. We'll put the link in the show notes so you can learn all about our brand new program. So on today's show, like I said, we have a very special guest who is near and dear to my heart, Katelyn Sanders, who is a 15-year-old soccer player from Beaverton, Oregon. She has been working with me for over just about a year now, about 9 months to a year, and I'm so excited to have her on. In this episode, Katelyn shares her struggles and obstacles with confidence and how working on her mental game started to change everything for her. The openness and vulnerability that Katelyn shows in this episode is so powerful for other players to hear because you are not alone. So players, parents, and coaches, I'm so excited for you to check out this episode with Katelyn. What's up, Katelyn? Welcome to the show, girl. I'm super excited to have you. I've had one other player on here before, but you're the first of my players on. So I'm so stoked that you were willing to do this.
Yeah, I'm really excited.
Right on, girl. So before we get into like the nitty gritty, just tell us a little bit like where you're from, your sport, obviously, kind of like what you're up to right now in your sport.
Yeah, so I am from Beaverton, Oregon, which is just outside of Portland. I'm a current sophomore and I play soccer.
Right on.
And yeah, I'm right now going through the recruiting process and in the middle of my sophomore year with high school soccer and club soccer. And yeah.
How has the recruiting process been so far for you? Like stressful, fun?
Yeah, I think that there's definitely some stress to it because obviously it's a big part of your future and obviously there's going to be worries and doubts with it. But I also think that it can be fun and it can be really fulfilling when you have a coach, be like, oh, wow, you're a great player, notice you or mention, and then it makes then everything will be worth it. And also just thinking about the future and how someday I'm going to end up somewhere. I mean, that just makes it all worth it. All the stress, all the worry. At the end of the day, it will end up being worth it.
Love it. Love it. Awesome. So Katelyn, you and I, do you remember when we started working together? Was it like last summer, was it?
Yeah.
Or fall?
Long time.
One of those, last summer or last fall, I don't know. But regardless, I think that a lot of times girls your age, honestly, there's a misconception about oh, I'm the only one struggling with my confidence and no one else struggles with it. So I want to hear a little bit tell me what your biggest struggles were, what your mindset and your confidence was like last year, before we started working together.
Yeah, definitely last year it was my biggest struggle. I would feel like I had a lot of the necessary skills that I needed physically, but so much of soccer is your mental game, and I really didn't recognize that until I started developing physically and being like, I'd be fine in practice and I'd go into games and I'm like, why am I not getting any better? Why am I stuck with this block? And I started to recognize it's because I had so much of a struggle with my mental game and the mental side of it. I had a lot of problems with when I would make a mistake that I would get down on myself, and the rest of the game, that would just be it. One mistake. And I mean, we're all human. Everybody's gonna make mistakes. Even the pros make mistakes. And I think that I would make one mistake and I'd be so down on myself that I couldn't get up and finish the rest of my game. And there was just so much self-doubt in there that I wasn't able to really believe in myself. And instead of believing in myself and having that self-confidence, I relied too much on other people to give that to me. And because of that, because I was relying so much on other people, there was then the thought that, oh, what if I disappoint them? So it was all of these thoughts were combining and circling around, and there was really, like, I felt like there was no way out of it too, and I was just kind of stuck, like I said, in this, like, almost like a circle of thoughts. I was worried about disappointing and making mistakes, and then because of that, I really didn't let myself play freely and enjoy the game. I mean, that's why I started soccer at first, and like back then in kindergarten, like, it was to have fun, and that's something you want to carry with you to college, however far you go. And I really lost sight of that because I was so worried about making mistakes and having so much problems with my mental game.
Yeah, and like the crazy thing is you saying that, like you have no idea how many times I have heard that as a coach, right? Like, in our group calls, like every single girl struggles with that, right? And so
Right.
just know that, like, I thank you for being honest and being vulnerable, because so many girls need to hear that they're not alone in this. And so for
Right.
you, like, when did you start to like become aware that your mindset and your thoughts were out of whack, and like, when did you start to become aware of that?
Yeah, I think that towards the I would say the start of 2020 into the summer of 2020, I was finally kind of getting my feet under me physically. I've
Mhm.
always been really tall, and like my body wasn't working with me very well until then, when I started strength training and doing all this other stuff physically to get me ready. And my skill level, obviously physically with touches and stuff, it was getting better, but I felt like I was in the exact same place as I was. I wasn't in this, like, I wasn't getting any better, and I knew that physically I should be getting, my game should be going up because I was spending so much time on the ball. But like the outcomes in the games, like everybody's like, well, you're in the same place, and I felt like I was in the same place. I felt like I was just stuck, like stuck in mud, stuck in this block. And that's when it finally like hit me. I think I was playing a game up in Seattle, and I was like really frustrated with myself, and I was like, I've been training for this, why is it not getting better? And I think about the game, and I was like, physically, like things were going okay, but I'd make a mistake, and I was so down on myself that the next play, like, I didn't want to go get the ball. I was scared of making that mistake again. And so it finally hit me, like, maybe this isn't all just physical, it's part of my mental game too. And then, like, once that hits you, you kind of really see like the bigger picture, and you're like, that makes sense. And
Yeah.
you realize like, how much of your game is actually mental, and how much like I had been struggling with it, and how much it played into my game. And I think that people had been telling me that before, but I never
Yeah.
really understood what it meant until like I finally realized, oh yeah, this is a big part of my game, and this is really what's holding me back.
Yeah. I love that. Like, that's so much awareness, because it can be hard. Like, it's hard to face the facts of like, oh, my mental game needs some work, right? Like, it takes a little bit
Right.
of vulnerability to get honest about that. But like, so I know when we first started working together, I didn't talk to you at first. I only talked to your mom. And so
Right.
like when your mom went and talked to you about like, hey, do you want to work with Coach Shay, whatever, like, what were your initial thoughts kind of about like working with a coach on your mental game?
Yeah, I think that people don't think about it, and even I didn't think about it at first. And I was like, oh, I don't need help with that. I can figure it out on my own. I like to be a really independent person. So I was like, oh, I can just do this myself. It's not a big deal. And there was like, I mean, I guess a little bit of embarrassment with it too, because sometimes you don't want to think that you need to help with it even when you do. Um, and that maybe like it wasn't going to work, it wasn't going to help. Like, why would somebody else be able to help with my mental game? Like, that part didn't really make sense to me, and I didn't realize how much it could help to have another perspective, because the only perspective that I get inside of my head is from me. And if I'm
Right.
just stuck in that negative sense, then there was no way I was going to get better, because I was just stuck with myself and not really hearing the other side of it, or being able to hear how other people were struggling with it too.
I love that you said like there was like a little bit of embarrassment there, right? And like with a lot of the girls, when the parents are trying to figure it out, like, the player is like, like, I don't know about this. Like, so it's a normal
Yeah.
reaction and it's unfortunate, but I think we're starting to change it, which is why I wanted to have you on really, is to like show other players that it's nothing to be embarrassed about. Like it's the same thing
Right.
if you need to work on your technical skills, like you go get a trainer for it. So this is no
Right.
different, right? Like it's no different, but I
Yeah.
think that we're still kind of, because it's associated with, mental health and confidence. I think it's something that people still think of as like, oh, there's something wrong with me. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Definitely.
So what, like, because I know, so there was obviously some resistance, right? And working on your mental game, but like, how did you come to the conclusion, or like what clicked where you're like, okay, yeah, I want to do this. I want to get help with my confidence.
Yeah, I think that at first I was definitely reluctant, but also like going to the sessions and be able to hear that I wasn't alone in it and that there were so many other girls out there who were like me and who struggled with it too.
Yeah.
I think that was really helpful to know that I wasn't just like anything else, to know you weren't alone in it. And also just being able to hear like a different perspective and to know that there are ways to get better at it too. I thought that there was no way, like I was always going to be stuck in this negative sense. And I think that being able and being open to hearing new ideas and new ways to be able to fix it, and also just actively being involved in it. I think once I finally let myself, I was like, okay, like I have to be engaged in this. I have to want to do it for it to work. And once I allowed myself to do that, like I think that that's really when it clicked that it was going to help me and that I was going to be able to make myself a better player mentally and continue to make my mental game stronger.
Yeah, and the thing is like you were one of the oldest players, right? And so that's, I think, especially it makes it a little bit harder when you're in a group of
Yeah.
a little bit younger players, but you really bought into it like right away. At
Yeah.
least from my perspective, you bought into it, you were engaged, which is why I think you've progressed so much. So with that being said, like over the last, I don't know, it's been probably 9 months since we've been working together, something like that, right? Over those last like 9 months or so, like how has your confidence and the mental side shifted for you?
Yeah, definitely. I think that part of me as a player is being a leader. And I think with leadership that you need confidence in yourself and in your teammates. And being able to like find that confidence in myself has tremendously helped my leadership, and helped me, because if I wasn't confident in myself, I would have no way to be able to lead other people because I didn't really believe in myself. How was I able to believe that I could help lead other people?
Yeah.
And so being able to see my leadership finally, I mean, it's never going to be perfect, but continue to grow and develop and change in such a positive way has been like really fun to see. And I know that other people in my life have seen it too. That's, and then, yeah, just going into games and finally being able to be like more free with it and finally be able to enjoy it. I think that's the most
Mm.
rewarding part, finally being able to get back to that place where you enjoy the sport that you love and enjoy like just being out there on that field, and you feel really grateful for it. You have the gratitude for the game. And I think that it's hard to have that when you are so worried about your confidence and making mistakes. And once you're finally, your mind is finally free and more open, not only do you play better, but you obviously enjoy it more too.
Yeah.
And yeah, obviously I definitely saw myself finally have confidence in my skills too, and take people one-on-one, like
Mhm.
take shots. And like those were parts of my game that I wanted to improve too. And so finally seeing the physical side of it really connect with the mental side was awesome. And just getting back to that place where I was, once I stepped on that field, I believed in myself, and that once I believed in myself, like I could get better, and I kept growing and finally got to that place that I was hoping to get to. And obviously there's going to be, like everything else in life, it's not going to be
Yeah.
perfect. It's up and down, and there's going to be one game where it's not perfect, but like finally having that confidence in yourself, you don't get stuck in a whole bunch of bad games. You're able to
Mhm.
pull back out and like reset and have that confidence in yourself to recognize like, hey, I can do this. And yeah, it's so much more fun to go out on that field and be like, yeah, I can do this, and go out and do it.
I love that. Like I'm just like trying to contain this big smile on my face. But I can't. Like the few things that I got out of there was number one, leadership. Like I know from day one, like that was something you really wanted to get better at, and
Yeah,
you're a great leader, and you've had plenty of struggles as a leader. But I feel like your leadership has grown immensely, and I've seen it, you know. And then the other thing is, like you said, gratitude for the game. Like you have so much more fun, right? Like for
yeah,
me, when I was struggling with confidence, that was the hardest thing. And then the most rewarding part is we play soccer because we love it, right? It's not a
right.
job, it's because we love it. And so just you like getting that love back is amazing. And then also I want to ask you to go a little deeper, because sometimes players will come to me and I'll hear like, oh yeah, I want to work on my confidence, but how is it going to help my physical game? So for you, like how has it helped like your physical game in general?
Yeah, definitely. I think that physical game and mental game are so much more connected than people realize. I think that when you're not confident in yourself and in like that transitions to your confidence and your skills and your development too. And I knew that like I had all these skills, but I didn't have the confidence to use them. I didn't have the confidence to go out there and like take somebody one on one. Like I was scared about making that mistake, and I didn't have the confidence to try to hit that long ball. Like, what if it went short? Then it would look horrible. And like once I found that confidence in myself, I was able to finally like achieve those things physically that I really wanted to do. I finally was able to like connect the physical and mental side. I was able to take people one on one and take shots and just go out there and like enjoy it more too. And just it felt like it finally connected all together. And I really like started to see the development physically because I was confident in myself and confident in my skills and wasn't so worried about making mistakes. I was finally able to use the physical side I had been developing too. And I think that once you like continue to build that confidence in yourself, you're allow yourself to open up like all those skills you've been developing physically too, and they really like connect with each other.
I love that. Like, yeah, the mental, it helps you to become like this complete player, right? And like you said,
Right,
it like enhances or amplifies all of the fit, because you were doing a lot of, and you still are doing a lot of physical stuff on your own, but by adding
right,
the mental to it, it's just like raised your level
right.
and everything, right? So that's awesome. All right, so kind of like my last question for you is, what would you like, I guess let's go into like, what are some tips, let's say confidence or mindset tips you have for other players that are your age, they're struggling with their confidence, they're going through these things that you went through. Like what tips
Yeah.
do you have for them?
Well, besides working with you,
Hey,
then
I did not pay her to say that, I promise, right, Caitlin?
yeah.
Okay.
I would say that I think the first step is just being vulnerable with yourself and like recognizing that it is okay to like struggle with something and struggle with something that is mental. And I think it's really hard at first to tell yourself that yeah, I'm struggling mentally. I think that some people are so afraid of that that it's really hard for it was at least for me it was really hard to admit to myself that I was struggling there. And I think that also just being open to like hearing new strategies and new ways to continue to improve it is really helpful too. And yeah, just remember that you're not alone in all of this and that there's so many other people out there that are struggling with this, and that there is support, and like especially in ways that you've like never known before, and that people are out there and ready to help you and willing to help you, and that like you have the power to continue to make your mental game stronger. And that also has to be a choice. Like you have to be ready to be engaged and be willing to adapt and change and for things to change. But at the end of the day, like it's going to help you too. And I think that, like I said, like a lot of things may change and it might be maybe even uncomfortable at first. And some exercises might make you uncomfortable and stuff. But I think that at the end of the day, it will like being able to be vulnerable and recognize that you need help and working on that and being engaged, like all of it will transition into making you not only, like I said, a better player mentally, but just a better player and person in general.
I love that. And like the things I took from that is like you just said, like realizing that it's okay that you're struggling
Right.
and you're not alone. And then also
Yeah.
like being okay and being open with being vulnerable. Cause as you know, like
Yeah.
the inner work, the mental work, sometimes it's tough to face that kind of stuff,
Yeah.
right? Like it's not always butterflies and rainbows, right? Like
Yeah.
sometimes you got to face some things that are difficult, but that's the only way through. So I love that you said that. And honestly, Katelyn, like I'm right now, like I'm learning from you. I feel like you're the coach and I'm the student, you know, and I feel like I could hire you and you could be my coach at any time. But this is amazing. And then one thing, kind of last thing, I just want to know, like for you, what are you most excited about right now with whether it's your soccer career or just your life in general? Like what are you most excited about?
Oh man. Well, I'm just excited to finally be able to go into the summer really enjoying the game and really enjoying being able to travel places finally. And like once I'm out there, instead of worrying so much about like making mistakes, being able to go out there and be like, hey, I'm in California, like, and I'm excited to be there and I'm excited to play. And like with that comes once I like am open and free and playing my best, like I'll get the recruiting, like everything will fall into place too. And it's really exciting for me to be able to think about how like I'm finally at a place where I'm able to enjoy it again and have fun with my teammates and enjoy the places I'm going and really just like get back to that place that I've been like knowing that I can be at physically and mentally, like the place that I've been striving for. Obviously, I want to keep getting better,
Yeah.
but finally able to be like, yeah, I've made it. And like I worked hard and I earned this and I deserve this. And look, I'm finally here and I put in the work to get here. And now it's here and I'm able to enjoy it too.
Ah, this is amazing. I love this. And if there's any college coaches listening, like this girl is freaking unreal. Like you can, Katelyn, like you're so well spoken. Like, oh my gosh, I can barely speak as well as you right now, let alone when I was 15 years old. So any college coaches listening, Katelyn is in the recruiting process. So you could reach out to me to get in touch with her. Or Katelyn, where's like tell us your Twitter, if you have Instagram, if you have YouTube, like where can girls connect with you and college coaches, where can they connect with you?
Yeah, my Twitter is Katelyn S 2023. That's soccer based. And if anybody wants to reach out to me, especially like girls asking for help or advice, my Instagram is Katelyn J Sanders. So yeah, just feel free to reach out to me. I'm really open to helping anybody else, and I just want people to succeed too.
You're amazing, Katelyn. Seriously, I love you girls and I appreciate you coming on. And again, you gave me a lot of value and I know that other girls listening are going to be just absolutely thrilled to be able to hear from someone just like them. So thanks again for coming on.
Yeah, of course.